father told him never to talk to strangers. Maybe the last person he'd trusted was a barber at Supercuts, and look at how that had turned out. Maybe, and this was perhaps most likely, maybe, not recognizing her, he worried she might be an undercover cop. Fine, understood. Trapdoors abounded for these dealers. On today's walk down Roosevelt, starting in the Queens neighborhood of Woodside, then Jackson Heights, and now into Corona, the guys who had recognized her suggested she go fuck herself, go rape herself. Compared to those creepazoids, this Korean came off like a prince. Skittishness she could handle. When she needed to make a buy, she liked to step to every potential dealer, close enough to smell the fast food on their breath. But she also knew how to take a half a step back and let the particularly paranoid shuffle over to her. "Has the guy come through yet?" she asked. She tilted her chin toward a red and yellow bodega across the street. "The guy who's always out there?" His eyes flicked up at her before returning to his phone. "No hablo inglés." A Spanish-speaking Korean? Sure, why not? On this stretch of sidewalk, one of the most ethnically diverse in the world, with sari shops smushed up against momo carts, smushed up against stores that sold both communion dresses and Mexican wrestling masks, Janice was willing to believe any sort of miscegenation mashup was possible. Again, understood. Addicted, along with the rest of her work colleagues, to the cheesecake telenova Ruby, which was running in chronological syndication on Channel 47, Janice said, "You know, the guy, el hombre siempre de la tienda, the man who's always out there." "No speak Spanish," the Korean said. Disgusted, or rather pretending to be disgusted, she hiked her purse strap over her shoulder and dashed into the street without looking. Somebody nearby screamed. A dark blue gypsy cab skidded through the slush to a stop, inches from Janice's hip. She meant to cut it close, but not this close. Her fingertips brushed the warm hood as if petting a giant, purring, predatory cat. Inside the car, a dashboard Virgin Mary trembled with whiplash. The cabbie seemed too stunned to honk, but on his behalf, all the other drivers behind him leaned into their horns. Surely the Korean had to be looking at her now. She kept moving through stalled traffic toward the bodega's bright lights. Out in front, flanking the front, was a pair of relics from an earlier New York, when people walked around with loose change instead of cell phones. A coin-operated, music-making, up-and-down, carousel-for-one machine that kept kids quiet and off their feet for about half a minute. Not a fantasy unicorn in this case, or a flying elephant, but a grounded-in-reality yellow taxi, albeit one missing a back seat. And next to that, a payphone, still functional, its receiver slickened with germs. Both waited to be used. The bodega's window signs advertised, as they had 10, 20, 30 years earlier, lotto tickets and cold beer, with a more recent handwritten placard promising "Have cure for bedbugs." Inside, the store's closed-circuit television footage, assuming the security camera was even on, showed a grainy black-and-white Janice wandering up and down the aisles. She scanned the newspaper headlines. "High noon," said the Post. "Hill and Obama in shootout." Beneath, a picture of the presidential candidates wearing photoshopped cowboy hats. Janice thought they both looked like assholes. She read the nutritional information on a box of Hamburger Helper. Poor. She compared Red Bull to sugar-free Red Bull. Because her feet hurt, because she was cold and thirsty and needed at least 50 cents in change anyway, because technically she was allowed 2 alcoholic beverages while working, she bought a tall boy of Modelo Especial, paying not with the $20 bill in her back pocket but with her own money instead, and drank the whole thing standing up at the counter while the nervous Pakistani bodega man made shoo-shoo gestures with his hands. Out on the sidewalk, she burped. Excuse her. Across the street, the Korean was still leaning against the pillar, but now it was she who wouldn't look at him. Not directly, at least. The musical taxi, meanwhile, had found a driver, a little boy who drove with both hands on the wheel, as if afraid he might crash. His father...